Listen, I know exactly why you're here. You're hurting, you're confused, and you're looking for something to numb the ache of losing her. You thought she was different, you thought she was the one, and now you feel like the universe punched you in the gut and stole your lungs because every breath feels heavier than it should. You've lost your appetite, lost your focus, and you've convinced yourself you've lost everything. But let me tell you the harsh truth before you drown yourself in self-pity. You didn't lose everything. You just lost a girl. And as painful as that feels, it's not the end of your story, it's the beginning of your transformation if you play this right. The problem is most men don't play it right. They spiral. They turn heartbreak into a personality. They let the end of a relationship mark the end of their ambition. They forget who they were before her, and they can't imagine who they'll be after her. You want me to be soft and tell you that it's okay to cry forever and wallow? Wrong place. You came here for the truth, and the truth doesn't hold your hand, it slaps you across the face and tells you to wake up. Do you know what science says about breakups? Researchers at Binghamton University surveyed thousands of people worldwide and found that women feel sharper emotional pain immediately after a breakup, but they recover faster. Men, on the other hand, feel duller pain at first, but carry it like a backpack full of bricks for years. Which means right now, while you're binge watching her Instagram stories at 2 a.m., she's probably halfway to moving on. Brutal, right? But also liberating. Because once you understand that biology is against you, you can fight back. You can stop being the stereotype of the guy who never recovers. You see, the reason this hit so hard isn't because she was perfect. It's because she filled gaps in your identity. She was your dopamine machine. Every good morning text, every compliment, every touch gave you the chemical high you're now addicted to. And now that she's gone, your brain is crashing like a junkie without a fix. That's why you check your phone 100 times a day hoping for her name to appear. That's why you stalk her page like you're on the FBI payroll. But here's the joke. While you're sitting there analyzing every word she said, she's not analyzing you. She's not even thinking about you. And the day you finally accept that is the day you'll set yourself free. Let's throw in some numbers to keep this grounded. A study by the Journal of Positive Psychology found that on average, people recover from the emotional weight of a breakup in about 11 weeks. 11 weeks. Less than 3 months. But I've seen guys drag the corpse of a failed relationship for 3 years like it's a badge of honor. They use it as an excuse for why they're broke, out of shape and uninspired. They let one person's absence destroy every other part of their life. That's not love, that's self-sabotage. And you're better than that, or at least you should be. Let's also talk about how ridiculous some of you act after she leaves. Suddenly you're Shakespeare, writing sad poetry in your notes app, listening to breakup songs on repeat, staring out the window pretending you're in a music video. You're drafting texts you'll never send, paragraphs about closure, about how she doesn't understand what you had. Let me save you the effort. She understands exactly what you had. She just doesn't want it anymore. And no amount of begging, bargaining, or dramatic gestures will change her mind. You don't talk your way back into respect. You don't cry your way into attraction. What you can do, though, is use this pain as fuel. Because every man who's ever made something of himself has a story of loss, betrayal, or rejection that lit a fire under him. According to a Men's Health survey, 72% of men admitted that their biggest physical and financial glow-up came right after a breakup. Why? Because heartbreak is rocket fuel if you stop drinking it like poison and start burning it like gasoline. Pain makes you lift heavier, run farther, work longer, and think deeper if you allow it. Right now, you're staring at the ashes of what you thought was love. But ashes are proof that a fire existed, and fire means energy. That energy can either destroy you or build you, and the choice is yours. You can sit there scrolling through her new boyfriend's pictures, comparing yourself, crying into your pillow like life's unfair. Or you can hit the gym, hit the books, hit your grind like every rep, every page, every dollar earned is a middle finger to the version of you that was left behind. Because it is. You want another brutal fact? The Pew Research Center reported that nearly 60% of adults are single or available at any given time. 60%. That means there are literally billions of potential partners in the world, and yet here you are acting like you lost the last woman on earth. It's laughable. You didn't lose the only one, you lost someone. That's it. And in hindsight, you'll probably realize she wasn't even as perfect as your heartbroken brain is telling you, because memory lies. Nostalgia paints over the arguments, the incompatibilities, the red flags you ignored. When you look back, you're not missing her, you're missing the idea of her. And that idea was half fantasy anyway. Now here's where it gets funny. A breakup turns even the toughest guy into a detective. You start analyzing her Spotify playlist, decoding her captions, zooming in on blurry photos to identify the guy 2 tables away at the cafe. You're not her boyfriend anymore. You're an unpaid FBI intern. And while you're busy connecting dots that don't exist, she's out there living her life, maybe even laughing about how obsessive you've become. That's how twisted heartbreak can make you. And that's why you have to stop it before it rots you from the inside. The truth is she left because she wanted to. Maybe she outgrew you. Maybe she was never in it fully. Maybe she found someone else. The reason doesn't matter. What matters is what you do next. Do you collapse and let this define you? Or do you rise and make this the chapter where your life took a turn for greatness? Most men don't realize this, But breakups are blessings in disguise. They free up your time, energy, and focus. They give you the push you needed but wouldn't take on your own. They remind you that nothing is guaranteed, and everything worth keeping must be earned. So let her go. Not because you don't care, but because you care about yourself more. Not because it doesn't hurt, but because you're strong enough to carry pain without letting it crush you. Let her go because holding on keeps your hands full when you should be building, grinding, and reaching for better things. She was a chapter, not the whole book. Close it, and start writing the pages where you're the main character again. Because at the end of the day, that's the only story worth living.
You know what the funniest part about all this is? Most guys don't even miss the girl. They miss the routine. They miss the good morning text, the little dopamine hits of feeling wanted, the comfort of knowing someone is checking on them. It's not her you're addicted to, it's the validation. And once you understand that, you realize you're not heartbroken over a person, you're detoxing from a drug you let someone else control. That's dangerous. Because the second you hand over the keys to your self-worth, you're a hostage. You built your sense of value around her attention, so when she left, your confidence went with her. That's not love, that's dependency. And dependency will ruin you. Let's get statistical again, because numbers don't lie, even when your emotions do. A study published in the Journal of Social and Personal Relationships found that people in relationships spend on average 5 to 6 hours per day on their partner, either directly or indirectly. Think about that. That's nearly 40 hours a week, a full-time job. When she leaves, it feels like you've been fired from your emotional career, and suddenly you've got 40 hours back that you don't know how to fill. Most guys fill it with misery, but smart men fill it with self-investment. That's where the growth happens. Instead of sitting in the dark scrolling through old photos, imagine if you poured those 40 hours into building a skill. In 3 months, you could learn coding basics. In 6 months, you could get fluent in a new language. In a year, you could build a side hustle into a legitimate income stream. But now, most of you would rather spend that year crying into your hoodies, posting sad memes, and hoping she realizes what she lost. Let me break it to you, she's not going to realize it. People rarely circle back out of regret. They circle back when they see your value rise. And if you stay the same crying wreck, there's nothing to circle back to. Here's another brutal reality. Women recover faster from breakups not because they're stronger, but because they lean on support systems. They vent to friends. They cry it out. They get validated. They hit girls' nights. Men isolate. Men lock themselves in their rooms, drink, play video games, and rot in silence. That's why men drown in heartbreak longer, because they refuse to build systems. A University of Colorado study showed that men are 4 times more likely to abuse alcohol after a breakup compared to women. 4 times. That's not strength, that's weakness disguised as toughness. You think drinking yourself into oblivion is manly? It's pathetic. Real men channel that pain into growth. They sweat it out at the gym, they hustle harder, they prove to themselves that no external loss can break their internal foundation. And while we're at it, let's kill this fairy tale fantasy you're carrying. You think she was the one? Stop. That's Disney nonsense. Statistically, the average person falls in love 3 times in their life. Not once, not some mythical soulmate, but 3. That means she was just one of the 3, and you've got 2 more coming. But you won't meet them if you're too busy crying over the first one. Imagine missing your future because you were worshiping your past. That's how men waste decades. Don't be that man. You ever notice how after a breakup, suddenly the gym is full of guys who've been single for 3 weeks? Suddenly they remember their health matters. Suddenly they're bench pressing like their life depends on it. And you know what? It does. Heartbreak is fuel. It's no coincidence that some of the most shredded, successful men you'll meet had their biggest transformations after being left. Pain wakes you up. Pain strips away your laziness, your excuses, your false sense of security. It gives you no choice but to evolve or stay miserable. And evolution is always the better option. But here's the catch. Most guys quit halfway. They start strong for a month, then relapse. They text her, they beg for another chance. They backslide into weakness. And that's when they lose all respect, not just from her, but from themselves. Because deep down, you know when you're betraying yourself. You know when you're acting pathetic. And nothing kills your confidence like seeing yourself stoop below your own standards. That's why letting go isn't about her. It's about you. It's about proving to yourself that you don't break when people leave. You bend, you adjust, you grow, but you don't break. Let me hit you with some financial perspective. According to a survey by the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics, the average American man spends over $7,000 a year on dating and relationships. $7 grand. That's money you could have invested, saved, or used to build your future. Instead, you spent it on dinners, trips, gifts, and monthly just because surprises for someone who now posts selfies with a new guy. Let that sink in. Every dollar you wasted is gone, but you can make more. What you can't buy back is the time you wasted. Time is the most expensive currency in existence, and you spent it trying to keep someone happy who didn't even want to stay. That's robbery, and you let it happen. And don't even get me started on guys who break down so badly they quit chasing their goals. Bro, you're telling me a breakup made you stop going to the gym, stop working hard, stop eating right, stop caring. You're telling me losing one girl made you lose yourself.
That's insane. You were supposed to be the man she couldn't replace, and instead you turned into the man she's glad she left. That's what happens when you let weakness run your life. The breakup didn't destroy you. You destroyed yourself by choosing the wrong reaction. Now imagine the alternative. Imagine you take all that pain, all that free time, all that energy, and you turn it into building something unstoppable. Imagine you level up so much that 2 years from now she sees you and doesn't even recognize you. Not just physically, but financially, mentally, socially. You walk into a room and people respect you. You don't chase anyone, people chase you. That's the revenge story worth writing. Not the sad tweets, not the drunk calls, not the please come back texts. The real revenge is success. Always has been, always will be. And let me be clear, focusing on yourself doesn't mean hating women or swearing off relationships. It means building a life where a relationship is a bonus, not your whole identity. It means making sure your happiness doesn't depend on whether someone texts you back. It means being the kind of man who is valuable with or without a partner. That's what true independence looks like. And independence is attractive. People gravitate to those who don't need them. That's the paradox. Once you stop chasing, once you stop needing, once you build yourself, people start showing up. But by then, you're so focused on your mission that you don't even care who comes or goes. So let her go. Not because you're cold-hearted, but because you're disciplined. Not because you don't feel the pain, but because you refuse to let the pain own you. Let her go because clinging to her is clinging to the past, and the past is a weight around your neck. Cut it loose. Swim forward. Focus on becoming the version of you that even you would admire. That's the mission. And every day you delay is another day wasted.
You ever notice how the moment she's gone, suddenly the smallest things feel like giant holes in your life? You hear a song and it reminds you of her. You walk past a restaurant and it's like your brain plays a highlight reel of every memory you shared there. That's not fate trying to tell you something. That's your brain betraying you. Neurologists have found that heartbreak activates the same brain regions as physical pain. That's why it feels unbearable, like someone stabbed you in the chest. But here's the kicker. Just like with physical pain, your body adapts. Painkillers exist, and in this case, the painkiller is progress, movement, forward motion. Sitting still just makes the pain fester. But the moment you start moving toward the gym, toward work, toward new goals, the pain begins to lose its power. But most guys do the opposite. They sit in their rooms like a hermit, replaying her laugh in their heads, scrolling through old photos, wondering what they could have done differently. Do you want the truth? It doesn't matter. You can replay the breakup 1,000 times in your head, and it won't change a damn thing. She left. That's reality. And reality doesn't care about your feelings. It cares about what you do next. So what are you going to do? Stay stuck in your mental time machine or build something in the present that makes the past irrelevant. Let's talk about the comedy of heartbreak. It's actually hilarious when you step back and look at it. A guy will sit in his car after being dumped, blasting sad songs, gripping the steering wheel like he's in some dramatic movie scene. He'll scroll her Instagram until he accidentally likes a post from 57 weeks ago, then panic like he just committed a federal crime. He'll draft long essays in his notes app about his feelings, reread them, cry, and never send them. All of this while the rest of the world is just going about their day, completely unaffected by his personal apocalypse. That's how selfish heartbreak is. It convinces you that the whole world should stop because your little bubble popped. But newsflash, the world doesn't stop. It never does. Here's a fact to ground you again. According to Statista, 40% of marriages in the US end in divorce. That's marriages, not casual relationships. So if half of even the supposedly serious relationships collapse, what makes you think your 3-month or 2-year situation was destined to last forever? The numbers were never in your favor. And yet here you are acting like your breakup is proof that the universe is against you. No, it's proof that you're human, living in a world where love isn't guaranteed and nothing lasts unless it's built on real foundations. Now let's shift to something important, the identity crisis you're going through. When you were with her, you built routines, habits, and maybe even your future plans around her existence. Now she's gone, and suddenly you don't know who you are without her. That's terrifying, but also the biggest opportunity of your life. Because identity isn't found, it's built. You get to decide who you are without her. And trust me, that's the version of you that matters most. Do you want to be the guy who let a breakup define him, or the guy who used it as fuel to redefine himself? A survey by YouGov found that nearly 30% of people admit they became the best version of themselves after a breakup. They got fitter, more disciplined, more financially secure, and more confident. Why? Because they no longer had someone to lean on or distract them. Pain forces evolution. If you're comfortable, you don't change. It's discomfort that creates transformation. So right now, in this storm of heartbreak, you're sitting on the exact conditions you need to reinvent yourself. You're in the fire, and fire either burns you down or forges you into steel. You decide which. Let me tell you why chasing her is a waste of time. Humans are wired to overvalue what they lose. It's called loss aversion, and psychologists have studied it for decades. The pain of losing something is twice as powerful as the joy of gaining something. That's why losing her feels like the end of the world, but meeting someone new doesn't feel nearly as exciting. Your brain is lying to you. It's exaggerating her importance because it hates losing.
Once you realize that, you stop romanticizing her and start seeing her for what she is, another person who made a choice. She's not a goddess. She's not irreplaceable. She's not the missing piece to your puzzle. She's just one of billions of people who didn't choose you. Big deal. You need to laugh at yourself. Seriously, laugh at how dramatic you've become. Laugh at the fact that you're crying into your pillow like a teenager. Laugh at how you thought buying her fries at 2 a.m. somehow made you husband material. Humor heals, and if you can't laugh at your pain, you'll drown in it. Now let's bring up money again, because heartbreak is expensive. You're not just broke emotionally, you're broke financially. A relationship drains your wallet. Dinners, gifts, trips, dates, little surprises. A survey from LendingTree found that nearly 45% of people go into debt to keep up with dating expenses. Debt, just to impress someone. And the moment they leave, you're left with nothing but receipts and regret. Meanwhile, if you had taken that same money and invested it, you'd be closer to financial freedom. Instead, you invested in someone else's happiness and they cashed out on you. Tell me that doesn't sting. But here's the good news. Now that she's gone, your wallet gets a second chance. You can reinvest that money into yourself. Buy books, buy courses, buy a gym membership, buy equipment for a side hustle. Build assets instead of memories that won't matter a year from now. Because here's the truth. No matter how good the relationship was, you can't deposit love into a bank account. You can't pay rent with affection. You can't retire on memories. But you can build a future off the back of heartbreak if you're smart enough to use it. Let me give you a visual. Imagine two guys get dumped. One spends the next 6 months crying, gaining weight, losing focus and wasting time. The other spends the same 6 months grinding, hitting the gym, learning skills, stacking cash and leveling up. At the end of those 6 months, who do you think feels better? Who do you think women notice? Who do you think commands more respect? The guy who stayed broken or the guy who turned pain into progress? You already know the answer, and that means you already know what you need to do. Stop pretending it's complicated. It's not. She left. Now it's you versus you. Either you stay the man she left behind, or you become the man she regrets leaving. It's that simple. Every day you waste crying is another day you could have been building. Every tear is another rep you didn't do. Every sad playlist is another opportunity you missed. Time is slipping whether you use it or not. So why waste it mourning someone who doesn't care? Why waste it begging when you should be building? At the end of the day, letting her go isn't about moving on to someone else. It's about moving on to a better you. If another woman comes along, fine. If she doesn't, also fine. Because you'll be too busy living a life worth living to care. That's the real win. That's the freedom. And that's the only way you stop being a victim and start being a man again.
Here's the truth you've been avoiding. She's not coming back. And even if she did, you wouldn't be the same man you were before. That chapter is over. You can either waste the rest of your life rereading it, or you can start writing the one that makes her look like a footnote. The pain you feel right now is temporary, but the decisions you make in this pain will echo for decades. You either use it as an excuse to rot, or you use it as the fuel that launches you into the man you were meant to be. You ever wonder why the most successful men always seem to have a story of being broken down first? It's because pain strips away the nonsense. Pain forces clarity. When you're comfortable, you can lie to yourself. You can say, I'll hit the gym next week, or I'll start that business when the timing is right. But when you're heartbroken, you've got nothing but raw emotion and empty time. That's when you either become bitter or you become better. That's when you take the energy you used to spend refreshing her page and you put it into refreshing your own life.
Look, nobody's saying it's easy. Of course it's not easy. Growth is never easy. But neither is staying stuck. Waking up every day, still crying over someone who's moved on. That's not easy either. Being broke, being out of shape, being directionless. That's hard too. So pick your hard. At least one of them gives you results. At least one of them makes you proud to look in the mirror. In 5 years, what do you want to look back on? Do you want to remember how you wasted months trying to get the attention of someone who didn't care? Or do you want to remember how you used heartbreak as the spark that changed your entire life? Because time will pass either way. The question is whether you let it pass wasted or invest it. And let me tell you something funny. The day will come when you'll laugh at yourself. You'll laugh at how dramatic you were, at how you thought you couldn't live without her. You'll laugh because you'll be standing in a better body, with more money in your account, with respect in your eyes and pride in your chest. And you'll realize that losing her was never the end, it was the beginning. So let her go. Let her memory fade. Let the pain sharpen you instead of soften you. Focus on yourself with the kind of obsession you used to waste on her. Build the life that makes you unstoppable, undeniable, untouchable. And when you finally arrive at that place, you won't be asking, how do I get her back? You'll be asking, why did I ever waste my time? That's the point. That's the mission. That's the freedom. Let her go and build yourself so strong that the only thing you can't lose is your own respect.